Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Might I start off by saying New York versus everybody? I tried to tell everybody that the Knicks were going to be the NBA champions, and it's looking like they're going to be. We got a lot to go over today. Obviously, we got a major card. I'm going to break down the entire card for you guys, not just one or two fights. We're going to go through this entire card since it is a short slate. Couple of things I do want to go through, which is kind of important news, and then we're going to jump into some other things. We'll go back to the Knicks. We'll go to the Dayton, talking about his guy Rizicki, insane resilience that guy had last week. We'll also talk about how we did in the last card, which we did very well. But I also want to announce that this is the last show that I'm going to be shooting on the Mayo Media Network. Great run, had a good time with him, had a great time with Dayton. We became friends after this, which is awesome. That's always a huge bonus when you can come into a situation and meet some new people and then get at least one guy out of there that you become, a tight friend with. So Dayton, I consider you a personal friend of mine now. So, I appreciate you for that. And also all the hard work you did put in. Dan Tom, another guy I had the opportunity to work with, that we knew of each other but never knew each other. We got to know each other. Dan Tom, I talk to him once a week. We always bang heads back and forth before a card. He is now a personal friend of mine. Pat's always been a personal friend of mine. Pat has been very good to me for over a decade. I've never done guest spots on shows. I've never really believed in it. I was always like, I'm going to just keep it for my subscribers. I don't like to be kind of swayed, but Pat asked me a long time ago to do a guest spot for Mayweather and McGregor, and I 100% jumped in and said, for you, Pat, I'll 100% do it. He asked me to co-host his show. Obviously, I would do it. I'll do anything for him that he asked. So, I talked to him briefly, but I'm going to say it on here. Pat, I appreciate you. I appreciate your network. I appreciate everything you have done for this industry. It's not every day that you meet good people in this industry. There are a lot of shitbags out there. I've been doing this for well over a decade, and I've worked with some, and I've met some, and I've dealt with some, and Pat has always been one of the most straight up, honest, good guys. He's one of the good guys. He's honestly one of the OG good guys. So, Pat, I appreciate you. I appreciate you allowing me to utilize my knowledge on your platform. So the announcement for me, as far as I'm going to start shooting the show on my YouTube page. I did have a show on there a long time ago. And then obviously I came over on this network. I started doing things and I started keeping more things behind my paywall. But I'm going to be going back to Madlab Boxing. That's the handle on YouTube. It's called Madlab Boxing. If you see me commenting to you on this show, like I have in the past, that's the channel it will be on. So if you guys want to see all the cards, all boxing, all sports, pretty much everything that I have to say, go subscribe over there. It's Madlab Boxing. It's free, obviously, just like this show. I'm also running a promo this week because obviously this is a huge month for sports. We obviously got the UFC Freedom 250 card, so I'm doing a promo also with an add-on that's completely free. We do everything one price. Nothing that we do is upgrades like you see people buy baseball, buy football. Everything that we throw at you, it's one membership price. So the first month we're giving you for $25. That gives you everything. That gives you the UFC Freedom 250 along with all the rest of the cards for this month. It gives you access to the World Cup completely free. We have Mike Marangelli, our resident Italian, even though I'm Italian, he's our resident Italian, that's doing all the World Cup. Guy's a diehard World Cup guy, diehard race, horse race guy. We also got Mikey Tams doing all MLB. We got NBA in there. Everything is all included. We also have the Mad Lab Fantasy League that we do, which we're going to start up again right after UFC Freedom 250. This week is the last week for this tournament. Then as soon as this tournament ends, we get the winner, we send them out a trophy, and we go to the next tournament. So that'll get you involved in that as well. We just got a great community. We do all DFS, all wagers, everything you could shake a stick at, we do. And like I said, we're not looking to make all. We just want a little bit of money for the work that we put in, which is a ton, and then you get all the all the information in return. So hopefully you guys will join us at the madlabmma.com, and also go to Madlab Boxing if you want to see more of my content that I will be throwing up. I also want to give a personal thanks to Dayton. Dayton, you've done a lot of hard work, man. You're always here. You're always on time. Had a lot of fun working with you. So let's give this one more ride, um, and see if we could have another great card. Last week we had a really good card. We went up about 5 units. We only missed one. So our streak continues. And I tell you guys all the time, winning is a habit. Winning is an absolute habit. And once you start winning, it becomes habitual and it becomes, I wouldn't say easy, but it becomes more confident. You become more confident to pull the triggers on things you normally wouldn't. So if you're losing and you start losing confidence, you're like, I really like this, but I don't want to lose that unit. You'll tend to pull back the trigger and you won't let it go. And then that'll hit and you'll be like, God damn, I wish I would have just pulled the trigger on it. But once you start winning, it becomes habitual. You start just getting like almost like a fighter that's in the third round, up 2 rounds, you start getting loose. And we've been loose for a while. We're hitting at like a 70% clip, and we're doing really well. So we're going to pull the clip on some of these fights this week, even though there's not a lot of great value on this card as far as from a wagering perspective when it comes to straight up betting, but there is some good props that you could look into, and you got to take a lot of things in account that we're going to take into account on this show today that I want you guys to think about going forward into this card. But yeah, I think this is a great card. A lot of people are shitting on the card. A lot of people are saying, well, it's only 7 fights. Well, it's not, it was supposed to be the mecca of all cards. You guys got to understand the 7 fights are on this card. Majority of them are headliner fights on another card. So you're just getting a front loaded heavy main card, and they kind of knock the prelims off. And you know what? I don't mind that, because some weeks we watch these fights, we're like, what a shitty card. We don't even have to watch this card. This card is like, I wouldn't mind them doing more cards like this. Data, am I right? Like, wouldn't you? I wouldn't mind this if they did this every couple weeks, like through a card like this, or once a month through a card like this, where there's only 7 fights on the card, but they were all bangers.
Yeah, I 100% agree with this. I don't mind it, especially because if you're a guy like me, you're on the East Coast. A lot of the fights are probably going on about 11, 12 o'clock at night. So, yeah, that would definitely help out a lot. And then you're also just you're just more into it the whole time. You're more intrigued, you're more engaged into the fight. So I think it's a win-win either way.
Yeah,
With shorter fights, with the shorter card. Yeah.
I think it's going to be dragged out. I think this week will be dragged out a little bit just because of where it is. I think they're going to have a lot of hoopla going in between fights. So there may be a situation where, like when there's an early knockout in the first round, and I always tell my guys in the Discord, I'm like, bro, it's time to go get a snack because you're going to have a long wait. There might be some situations like that where they're going to have these dragged out things in between fights, and they're going to extend it a little bit. So guys, be prepared for that. Just because it's a shorter card doesn't mean it's not going to be like kind of full length. But yeah, I agree with you, Dave. I feel like you're just going to be locked into every fight because every fight means so much. And not to mention, even if it is dragged out, you're going to be wondering, what are they going to do? Like, what kind of spectacle are going to have in between fights? How is it going to look? What's the backdrop? How is it going to affect the fighters? What the weather's going to be like? So there's just a lot going on.
Yeah. Do they have like a roof over this thing or anything, if in case it rains or something?
I honestly didn't see one, bro. I know that they started. I watched the light show. I'm sure that they have to have something for the weather, but I don't know, man. I know I've been listening to all their interviews, like Diego Lopes and stuff like that. I know he said he was in one fight in Mexico where he was supposed to fight outside, and as he made the walk, they canceled it because of thunder and rain. And people have been talking about like what happens if it starts raining, which makes me feel like, and some of the people that are saying it are like big time journalists, which makes me wonder. I don't know. Like, I don't know if they have anything covering overhead. I really
don't
don't.
know. I saw a clip on Barstool and it didn't look like it.
No, it looked like it almost looked like in a carnival when you see that like dome thing. You know what I mean? That ride that has that dome with the lights going, and then they have that pendulum in between it. Yeah. It almost looks like that, like just an arch. I didn't see nothing overhead, but I'm gonna have to do more work. But either or, top cover or not, the thing that concerns me about this is the humidity. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from New York, New Jersey area, even though now I live in Orange County, California. So my concern is when things get humid, things get slippery and damp. Like if you take a decal and you put it on, say, your car in humid weather in the East Coast, it's not going to be adhesive. It's going to kind of peel off. Like it's a very different weather. It's like a sticky, muggy, damp heat, and that concerns me a little bit with the slippage of their feet. with their feet are slipping on the canvas and, the decals. And we've seen it so many times before, just in other arenas that are actually temperature controlled, where these guys are slipping all over the place. Like, what is that going to be like in DC if it's 100 degrees or if it's 90 degrees and fucking humid? And it usually is in that area. That DC, Philly, Jersey, New York, this time of year, it starts getting really fucking humid. Now, if there's rainfall early and then it stops, that makes it even worse because it makes it even more damp and muggy and more sticky. And it's just a very different weather. Like out here, if it hits 100 degrees, it's not humid. You don't feel it. It's a little bit more of a dry heat. Back home, it's suffocating. So you got to think about their conditioning as well. Guys that aren't living in humid states. There's a lot to be, thought about here in this. And I think following the weather would be highly advisable. Like for you guys, if you guys are looking into these fights from a DraftKings perspective, follow the weather. Look at the weather. See what the humidity is. See what the barometer pressure is. See what barometer pressure plays a big role, a big role. Check what that is. You got to check what the heat index is. From as it gets later, the nighttime starts falling. It starts getting a little bit cooler. But in the heart of these early fights, look at that stuff. It could really, really be important, for some of these fighters. So, Rizicki, real quick, I want to throw a Rizicki thing out for you, dating. Bro, great call with that kid, bro. I mean, great call with that kid. I mean, he didn't win the fight, but man, that kid earned a lot of my respect, dude. I mean, that was a great read on your part to about how tough he was and how durable he was. And you were right. He was an extremely good offensive fighter, great chin, but he had some flaws with his defense and stuff like that. But I told you off air, if that kid locks in some defensive, shelling positions and stuff like that, just becomes a little bit more mindful, that kid can be a big fucking problem, dude.
Yeah, 100%. Like we said it. He wasn't gonna win the fight if it went to like a decision. Obviously, it was a TKO, so Bill Smith was the one to get the knockout. But I mean, Rizicki even said it himself. Like the respect he gained from the fans over in the UK was insane. I think he's just gonna it grows his name. And there was a clip Dana White was on like the Full Send podcast with the Nelk boys, those YouTubers.
Yeah.
And he was like, I actually want to have a card with him up in Canada with Rizicki on it.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, that kid puts asses in seats. And here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing that makes it even more intriguing about that. And then we'll jump into the card is that, bro, his corner stopped that fight.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, but that says a lot about him. His corner stopped that fight. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's not like the ref came in and stopped that fight. It's not like he quit. His corner, when your corner stops the fight, that means that you're too tough for your own good. That's actually a good sign. Like, it's a good sign. Like, shows that they actually care about him, but it also tells you like they know like this kid isn't gonna fucking quit. We have to pull the plug for him.
That's pretty bang on, yeah.
So yeah, man, he impressed me, dude. I'm looking forward to his next fight. I know he's gonna be out a while, definitely medical suspensions, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, man, let's jump into this card. Like I said, I'm sorry I held you guys up for 13 minutes. Like I said, again, go Knicks. I'd want to let you guys know that this is a proven fact. I've said this for a couple years now. Nobody has made me more money than Aljamain Sterling. Nobody in my betting on one entity. Nobody has made me more money than Aljamain Sterling. As of last night, that has changed. The New York Knicks playoff run this year has made me more money than Aljo has in all the years I've been betting them. So hopefully, if you guys are following me on Twitter at the Madlab MMA, you would have got all the bets I put out were free. I mean, I was doing free play of the day, Carl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, this prop, that prop, straight wagers. I just hit my last two. Hopefully you guys were following, because if you were following, you made some serious fucking bank. I think I lost like 2 wagers in like 12 bets with the Knicks, so 13 bets. So they have now surpassed Aljamain Sterling for making me the most money on this playoff run. So I'm actually proud about that. Go Knicks. Let's finish that fucking alien off this week. All right, let's jump into this card, because I know that's why you guys are initially here. We got the main event, even though a lot of these are main events. You have Ilia Topuria minus 550, and you got Justin Gaethje plus 400. The over is plus 475, and the under is minus 800. So, here's the thing, guys, with this fight. Whenever you look at fighters, you got to look at a litany of things. You got to look at their demeanor. You got to look at where they come from. You got to look at, what kind of persona do they have, or do they get caught up in the moment? The one thing I will say about Ilia Topuria is that this is a guy who he really shows no holes inside the cage or outside the cage. This guy, when he's inside the cage, he's been in certain moments. And like I said, one moment in particular, which was back in against Jai Herbert, he got caught with a nasty head kick, and it rocked him, and he came back, and he ended up knocking him out in the second round. I haven't seen anything inside the cage that shows me that he has some kind of a gaping hole where I'm like, well, if fighter B does this to him, well, this is what's going to happen, and this is how it's going to happen, because that's his path to victory. You can't look at Ilia Topuria and say, well, there's a clear path to victory. You can't say, well, I'm going to get a wrestler in there and wrestle him, and that's going to be path to victory. Or I'm going to get a BJJ player in there, and that's going to be his path. Or a striker, that's going to be his path. Or a heavy hitter, and that's going to be his path. He doesn't have a major hole anywhere. Outside of the cage, he doesn't have a major hole. This is a guy that doesn't get into trouble. This is a guy who's well-dressed. This is a guy who's well-spoken. This is a guy who doesn't really talk a lot of shit. He does it in a very passive-aggressive way, but he's kind of humble and calm and stable. And the guy is just, from pillar to post, the guy is a very hard, penetrable force. You just can't, there's nothing in him where you're like, I can get into his head or I can out-wrestle him. Like, you can't even get into his head. You can't even play mental games with this guy. And then on the other side, you look at a guy like Justin Gaethje, who is perfect for this card because he is a true American, through and through, carries a flag. He's given us numerous phenomenal fights. This is a guy who's in a spot right now that I didn't think he would be in. And I'm not saying I didn't think he was going to be great, but I didn't think his body would allow him to last the punishment and this style of fighting that he has created for himself. A couple of years ago, I said, now's a really good time for him to go to his All-American Wrestling, start utilizing that, start minimizing the damage a little bit, and start leaning on that now. You don't need to get into these dragged out wars all the time. And he pretty much, without me telling him, because he doesn't know who the fuck I am, he pretty much told me to go fuck myself. And I'm going to continue to fight this way, and I'm going to continue to win. And he has. And yes, he's lost some fights where he's been knocked out cold or submitted or anything. But this is a guy that how many times have we counted this guy out? Like, I mean, look, against Paddy Pimblett, I actually took Gaethje in that fight. But I'm just saying, against Paddy Pimblett, how many people were all over Pimblett? I took Fiziev. I thought Fiziev was going to be too much for him. He ends up beating Fiziev. I picked Holloway. I was right there. Poirier, another guy, phenomenal striker. I mean, to beat him, you gotta be a Justin Gaethje. Fiziev again. I mean, look, the guys he's beaten, he's only lost to like guys like Nurmagomedov and Oliveira and Poirier back in the day. And I mean, this dude is just you can never count him out. You can never count this guy out, no matter what. But the problem is, when you look at his wrestling and you're like, well, if he utilizes his wrestling, which is false because he does utilize his wrestling. A lot of people look at him and it's like he doesn't utilize his wrestling. Well, yes, he does, because wrestling isn't only offense. Wrestling is also defense. So he utilizes his wrestling defensively to stay on the feet and to do these certain things. But you're right. He doesn't use it offensively enough. But even if he does, do you really think he's going to be able to out-wrestle Topuria? I don't know. Like, we haven't had this huge sample size of Topuria in a wrestling arena where there was transitions and there was him getting out from bottom and using, certain sweeps and active hips. Like, we hadn't had to see, because he doesn't allow it to get there. And then when you look at a situation like this, where if it ends up on the feet, this can turn out to be like a Rizicki, where Justin Gaethje is just too tough for his own good. He's going to be at the White House. He's going to want to go out on his shield, and Topuria is going to put him out on his shield. He's going to put him out on his shield. So I could totally see that too. But at the end of the day, like, if you're asking me, does the fight make me nervous? 1,000%. Anybody who Justin Gaethje fights, because he's the perfect chameleon. Like, if you really think about Justin Gaethje, he's the perfect chameleon. Like, this is a guy where when you think he can't get any better, when you think his striking can't become any more polished, or just the selection of punches, the punch count, the range, the distance, the composure in certain rounds, like he kind of fights the same but a little bit different in every fight. And I can't count. Who am I to say that guy can't fucking pull this off? Out of all people, who out of all people in the UFC, that's, if anyone's going to pull it off, it's going to be him. Like, it's going to be him dragging Topuria into a situation he's never been in before. Maybe he can swim. Maybe he could swim better than Justin Gaethje, but maybe he can't. Like, we haven't seen him numerous times in these deep waters, bloody, gassed, outside in this weather. You don't know. Like, you don't know the elements until you're there and you feel the elements. So if anybody can do it, I don't put it past Justin Gaethje, but I just think the educated pick is like, I haven't seen the holes in Topuria to be like, well, Gaethje can get him there. The only place Gaethje can possibly get him, in my opinion, is if he drags this deep and Topuria isn't that guy deep. Like, he isn't that guy that we see all the other things. We see him in the first round, the second round, third round, destroying people, coming back after getting hit with a nasty head kick. Like, maybe when he goes super deep in these elements, the humidity, the cage slippage, like all these things, who knows? Maybe it's not his thing. And Gaethje's been there 100 fucking times before. So I'm picking him. I'm picking Topuria. I think he's the educated pick. I think anyone who picks Gaethje is kind of hoping for like a sprinkle of that magic, and that's okay. That's why we watch the fights. But I think the educated pick, even though it's the obvious pick, is Topuria. So I'm gonna go Ilia Topuria. He says he's gonna knock him out in the first round. I don't think so. I'm gonna say Ilia Topuria, second round knockout. Third round knockout. All right, then we go to the co-main event, which is also 5 rounds. Yeah, Alex Pereira, -110. Ciryl Gane, -110. These lines tightened up. Now, this is another guy, a +150 over, and the under is -200. Now, this is another guy, Alex Pereira, where I have never bet against him, except I bet against him against Izzy, and I bet against him against there was one other person I bet him against. No, I bet against him, I mean. I know that was it. I think that was it. Yeah, it was Izzy. Yeah, it was Izzy. It was the only person I bet against him with. Adesanya, I bet him. One time I was right, one time I was wrong. I've never not bet against. I always bet for him. I mean, how do you not? You know what I mean? And this is a time, I got to be honest with you, where I'm not betting him this fight. There's something about this fight that concerns me. And when you look at the elements of the fight, right, and you look at his style, and you look at his age, and you look at all the things that he's done so great, and then you look at Ciryl Gane, and you look at his fight against Jon Jones, and you see how he fucking folded, and you see how, like, you're just like, what a coward this guy is, this and that. And then he was fighting Tom Aspinall, and you're like, well, dude, are you kidding me? If he did that with Jon Jones, like, Tom Aspinall is going to fucking shell shock this guy. And even though that fight was stopped, and even though those eye pokes legitimately caused Tom Aspinall like career-altering injury, from eye surgery after eye surgery after eye surgery, you cannot deny, and I picked Tom Aspinall in that fight, you cannot deny that he was beating up Tom Aspinall in that fight. He came out a completely different human. Now, I know it's a small sample size, but that small sample size can prove something to you as a fighter. It could prove to you that, yeah, I folded during the Jon Jones fight. The moment was too big for me. But then when I got my opportunity again and fought a guy in Tom Aspinall, where a lot of people thought that Aspinall was the antidote for Jon Jones. Oh, Jon Jones is avoiding him. And he fights Tom Aspinall and puts on a clinic like that, even though it was a small sample size, but came out firing like that. Even though that fight ended the way he did, unfortunately, that's a confidence builder for this guy. That's saying to him, like, I could do this. Like, I can go into these bright lights and I could win against the top of the heap after folding like I did against Jon Jones. You know, and the problem I have with this fight with Pereira is the movement. I think Ciryl Gane is a freak athlete. I mean, if you watch him, he plays basketball, like he very good basketball. I mean, the guy dunks, the guy dribbles under his legs, guys. He's really good, just all around great athlete. He's smart, he's intelligent, he understands the game, you know, and he could do so many different things and make so many different adjustments that Alex Pereira just can't make. You know, Alex Pereira is kind of a one-way street. This is a guy who he's got very good takedown defense. He's worked on his grappling with Glover Teixeira. Taking him down is not easy. Getting in on him is not easy because obviously you got the threat of something coming up the middle or just his power in general. And it's very intimidating to a lot of fighters because the blueprint is there. Like you say, yeah, I'll take him down. But at the end of the day, you got to get in on that. You got to clear that range. You got to clear that space, and you got to get in on that. So it becomes intimidating. You're hesitant. You're trying to figure out, when do I go? When do I not go? Meanwhile, the whole time he's throwing these nasty, debilitating little chippy leg kicks, and he's waiting to load up on that big shot. Ciryl Gane's a guy who could just move around so much. He's never faced somebody as athletic as Ciryl Gane and as big and as muscular and as strong as Ciryl Gane. He's not just a Jamal Hill, who Jamal Hill looks like he's melted butter, that people actually thought he was good. He's fighting a guy in Ciryl Gane who is faster, sharper, stronger, more athletic than Jamal Hill will ever be. Smarter, better durability. Like there's so much that he hasn't seen that Ciryl Gane can throw at him that it concerns me. It concerns me because of his age. It concerns me because it's like after a while, you got to lose if you're not a Habib. Like there's going to be that moment where you lose. Like nobody ever thought. I mean, I did because I bet Izzy, but nobody ever thought that would end like that. The second fight when Izzy was shelled, it looked like a carbon copy of the first fight. He was shelled up. He was starting to tee off on him. Then Izzy uncorked 2 shots and knocked him out. Like anybody can lose, especially with that style. If you have Habib style where it's just smothering and you get him on the ground and you lace his legs up and you're handcuffing him and doing stuff, it's hard. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to hit him with one hand. You got to try to get up. You can't get up. But on the feet, it takes one move. It takes one mistake. It takes one mistake to knock you out. And Pereira has been rocked. Pereira has been hurt. We haven't seen anybody really, really try to employ wrestling on him or really dance around the cage and poke at him, pick at him, and prod at him like Ciryl Gane can do. You know, so I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I may regret this because I always said I will never pick against Pereira until he loses. And that was obviously after the Ankalaev fight. I went back to him again because I just thought, you know, the matchup, I thought he was going to come back. But this time, I don't know, man. This time I'm going to go Ciryl Gane. It's the first time I'm ever picking against him. I'm going to go Ciryl Gane here. I think that I'm going to take my shot on him. I think that he is going to utilize a very, very good game plan that's going to frustrate Pereira. And Pereira's going to be hunting him. And I think he's going to have some issues tracking him down. And I think even if he does find a couple spots with him, I think that Ciryl Gane's going to be able to go back to his corner and make certain adjustments to throw something else at him and see if he can pin him down there. And if he can't, he'll come out in the third round. He'll throw something else at him. There's just so many different ways that Ciryl Gane could win this fight. And there's really one way that Pereira can win this fight, which is his striking, whether it's by knockout or by decision. He's not going to take him down and grapple him. And that's not. But Ciryl Gane can do all those things. He can outpoint him. He can knock him out. He could wrestle with him. He can go to decision and just coast. He could possibly submit him. Like he's got so many different avenues here that I'm going to go Ciryl Gane. I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger on it, but I'm going to take a flyer on Ciryl Gane here. I'm going to say Ciryl Gane. It would be really balls if they say Ciryl Gane inside. I'm going to say Ciryl Gane inside the distance. I'm going to say he gets it done and shocks a lot of people. So we'll see what happens. Next fight, we have Zahabi versus O'Malley. This is pretty crazy, this price tag. Minus 425 for O'Malley, plus 325 for Zahabi. The over and under is you got over minus 195. The under you got plus 170. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that if this stays upright and it's a sharp shooting, striking match, O'Malley's going to win. You know, O'Malley's going to win that fight all day. Monday through Sunday. But the thing that people aren't understanding is Zahabi's a very capable wrestler, and he's got a very capable game plan behind him with his brother Faris. Faris Zahabi is, to me, and people that are subscribers over by me know because I talk about his philosophies all the time. Faris Zahabi is one of the most philosophical, intelligent, brilliant minds in MMA. Doesn't get the credit he deserves. Everyone kind of shines on him for GSP, but they don't really shine on him for how good his philosophies actually are. Like Faris Zahabi, by far, is one of my favorite trainers. If not my top three of all. I love Faris Zahabi. And obviously Aiemann is his brother. So he can't go out there and do it for him, but what he can do is he can draw up the right blueprints for him. And his brother is buying in. And this is how smart Faris is with his brother. People used to bitch on him and say, he only fights once a year. Now, if you look at his resume, look at the way they patterned him. He would fight 2017, 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Now, when he fought 2024 and his brother started seeing that he's winning now he's on like a 4 or 5 fight win streak. When his brother started seeing, he's like, now we got to do a little bit of an uptick here because now we got something here. So instead of fighting one fight a year, in 2024, he fought twice. In 2025, he fought twice. Now 2026 is here. He'll probably fight twice. So it's just like, what a perfect climb. What a perfect strategic climb that they picked and choose their spots really well. They allowed the body to heal. They allowed them to get the right matchup, the right opponent in the right location. And look where he is now. And I think this is a very dangerous fucking fight for O'Malley. I do. I think this is a very, very dangerous fight for him. Not to mention, Zahabi's going to have GSP in his corner. George St. Pierre is going to be in Zahabi's corner for this fight, which is, you need any more inspiration than that? Canada's finest, probably one of the, I don't know, Dayton would know more than me, but Dayton, is GSP probably one of the most recognized athletes in Canada?
100%.
Okay. 100%. Who else? Outside of like hockey players, it has to be GSP.
Yeah, especially in Quebec. He's like where he's from, like Montreal area, like he's pretty well known.
Yeah, so like what other motivation do you need? You're fighting at the White House, even though he probably doesn't really care so much about that. It's probably haram to him. You're fighting at the White House. You got a huge fight with a mega star at one point. Maybe not so much, but he took it down. You got this streak that can obviously propel you to a title shot. You have GSP in your fucking corner. It's going to be watched internationally. Like what other motivation do you need? I think this is a very dangerous spot. Now, I'm going to pick O'Malley, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you wanted to take a shot on Zahabi, I would encourage it. Like I would say those odds are very tasty. Even though I'm picking O'Malley, I'm debating whether or not I want to take a stab on Zahabi. Now, if I did take a stab on Zahabi, I wouldn't take Zahabi straight up. I would take Zahabi by decision because that's the way he wins. He's a decision merchant. And O'Malley's tough. O'Malley's durable. O'Malley, even though he's not a grappler, he does have some grappling. He does got a good takedown defense, for the most part. And his striking and his distance and his range is going to keep him away. So if by some chance Zahabi wins, it's probably going to be by decision. And those odds would land you at about, let me see. Give me a second, boys and girls. I don't know why this ain't opening up. It's not opening up right now for whatever reason. I'll just leave it open, see what happens. So here it is. Wait. UFC winning method. So oh no, they're not even up. They're not even up. Anyway, if they do come up, look for it. It'll be by decision. They didn't release them yet, but I would say Zahabi by decision. If you're going to pull the trigger on it, you'll probably get a big number on it. A big number on it. So I'm going to officially pick Sean O'Malley, but like I said, I am very tempted to pull the trigger on that. Very tempted. And also, if you guys have DraftKings or a book that offers the alt lines like +3.5, a +3.5 stab on Zahabi isn't bad either. Because I could also see O'Malley winning a decision, but Zahabi winning a round. You know what I mean? So that's another thing to look at. I would not tie O'Malley into a parlay. I would not obviously bet him straight up. I just wouldn't. I think if you're going to play this fight from a betting perspective, it's a dog or pass. But give me Sean O'Malley to get this one done. All right, next fight. We move on. Actually, you know what we're going to do now? We're 3 fights in. So right in the center, because I want people to see it and not wait till the end. Dayton, do you have a dog of the week or no?
Well, let's see. Not yet. Not ready.
All right. So when you're ready, just say I got my dog.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Let's go to the next one. We have. Oh, I can't wait for this fucking fight, dude. Josh Hokit minus 400, Derrick Lewis plus 330. The over is plus 170, and the under is minus 195. Now, these odds are just insane. I'm just going to spit some common sense at you guys. The one thing that you got to think about the heavyweights is it's the most volatile division, right? It's the most volatile division, and the last thing to go on an athlete is their power. It's the last thing to go. So if you're a lighter weight guy, a bantamweight, a lightweight, and you're just known for your fucking speed, like here's a perfect example. I know I always bring up boxing, but when you look at a guy like Paulie Malignaggi, right? That kid was so skilled in boxing. Zab Judah, another guy, so skilled in boxing with his speed, with his combinations, with just the way he moved, and that's what won him fights. That's how he became a world champion. They became world champions from their hand speed, their footwork, their volume, but they had zero power, zero power. Zab Judah had okay power at times, but I'm saying, Malignaggi for the most part, they used to call him pillow hands. And as he got older, it got harder for him because now he can't rely on his speed. He can't rely on his movement. He can't rely on this crazy, youthful footwork, and he's got no power to boot. So you're dead in the water at that point. You're almost forced to retire at that point. As a heavyweight, it's not like that. Look what George Foreman did at 40 years old. George Foreman came in. He gave Holyfield all he can handle. He knocked out Michael Moorer to become champion. He fought all the way till he was like 43, 44 years old. And he was winning, knocking dudes out, knocking top guys out because he just maintained that big George Foreman power. And he still had some of the technique and the shelling abilities and stuff like that he had, that he was able to knock dudes out. So heavyweight's a very different division. Now, when you look at Josh Hokit, this is a guy who, I got to be honest with you, man. I know you guys like that whole rigmarole with the, right Miami and the shit that he throws on, but I like the Josh Hokit now, the guy who, like, his management told him, listen, you got to taper it down a little bit. Be just Josh Hokit for right now. He's answering questions. You can see he's an intelligent guy. He's answering questions. He's answering them intelligently. They asked him, are you going to fight the same way against, against like you did against Curtis Blades? And he goes, well, I'd be foolish to do that. He goes, we all know that if he hits me one time, I'm going to be in trouble. So no, I'm not going to fight him like that. So, like, he's the Josh Hokit of real, and we all know that's an act that he does. But the Josh Hokit of real is like, he's kind of a down to earth, kind of normal fucking guy with a lot of talent. That's the guy that I like. That's the guy I think can honestly sell. A little bit more of an uptick, but not as crazy as that. Like, just be yourself. Be a little, narcissistic if you want, but you don't got to go over the top. So I like this guy because I'm able to make a read on you now. This whole act you can't make a read on, but when he's kind of himself answering questions to the media and you're listening to him talk, you can start laying a bead on his personality and who he really is outside the cage as a person, as a competitor and stuff like that. So this guy obviously got a very high level, grappling pedigree that we haven't really seen him use all that much. I'm expecting him to try to use it. The one downfall I see in this fight for him is that he is one of the, if not smallest heavyweight in the division, going against the most powerful, probably one of the biggest in the division. And those of you that think that size doesn't matter, you're wrong. Size absolutely fucking does matter. That's why there's weight divisions. That's why there's, in certain fights, guys can't take certain guys down and they just look too big for the division, or they're just too tall and you can't elevate them, off the ground because their toes are scraping the canvas. there's so many different elements involved when it comes to size. And yeah, it's not everything, but size absolutely fucking does matter. It does matter. And when I look at this fight and I'm saying to myself, okay, well, you take that variable and then you take the variable of, what if he does come in and fight like that against the Blades, where his chin was just up in the air and he was just taking shots? Do you really think he's going to be able to take, forget about one shot, like 2 shots clean by Derrick Lewis? No, I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of fucking chin you have. If you take 2 solid shots from Derrick Lewis, I'm talking solid. I'm not talking just like him catching on the side of the head. I'm talking 2 solid shots. You're going to sleep. Like, period end. I don't care who you are. He's got like life-altering power. Then you take the thing that when he used to talk about his bad back, like a couple fights he had to pull out of. The reason why he had to pull out of those fights was because when you cut so much weight, your spinal fluid, everything, like you kind of deplete yourself, right? All the fluid in your body, along with your brain fluid, your spinal fluid, like that's why you'll get knocked out easier, because you're just not channeling right. And then you blow that muscle, you blow that your body back up to 295, 300 pounds before fight night. Now all of a sudden your fucking spine is holding this like extra weight that it was like, wait a minute, you just went down to 265. Now you just overnight gained 40 pounds. Like, what the fuck? And your spine compresses and everything starts getting out of whack. And that's what was going on with him. Now he's kind of managing this normal weight. So is he older? Yes. Have we seen him getting waxed in the past? Yes. He's extremely tender to the body? Yes. If you drop him to the ground, can you get on top of him and stay on top of him? Can Hokit? Sure can, 100%. But at the end of the day, like, if you don't think that he has a shot in this fight to land that big fucking shot, especially like being, the president's favorite fighter and fighting at the White House, and like, this is a fight where there have been fights where you got to question, has he folded? Like, did he fold in that fight? And, and that's rightfully so, because there's a couple times I've thought it. But if you don't think that he has a shot to win this fight, you're out of your fucking mind. If there's any division that you have a shot to win a fight with that kind of power, it's the heavyweight division. So although the educated pick is Hokit, because we see the sample size, we see the paths he has to victory, I'm going to do what I did against Alexander Volkov. And against Alexander Volkov, I think I was the only fucking person that picked Derrick Lewis, and I ended my thing. Usually my things are really long-winded. I just said Derrick Lewis by knockout because all it takes is one. I'm going to do it again. Even though Volkov was beating him from pillar to post the entire fight with 10 seconds left, he caught him with that shot. I'm just going to say it again. I'm going to pick Derrick Lewis in that fight, not because he's the better fighter, not because he's more durable, not for any of the other reasons. I'm going to pick it because when you're in a heavyweight division and you have that kind of power, all it takes is one. So give me Derrick Lewis for a major, major upset by knockout here. I wouldn't go run into the fucking window, betting it, but I also would not go near minus 355 for Hokit. I'm sorry, I won't. I mean, if you're going to bet him, you bet him inside the distance, because someone's getting finished here. So this is a fight in DraftKings you want a piece of. But I would not go near Josh Hokit at that price tag. I'm sorry, I won't go near anyone against Derrick Lewis at that price tag, unless you're like a real top echelon guy that I see a major blueprint with you, and I've seen a big sample size. But pick a knockout either way. I mean, you want to pick Lewis for a knockout, huge number. You want to pick Hokit for a knockout, you're going to get better odds. Obviously, the minus 355, but straight up, I ain't going near it. But give me the upset, man. Give me the upset on a card there's going to be an upset somewhere on this card. So let's go Derrick Lewis by KO. All right,
I got my dog.
All right, let's go.
You literally completely just shit on it, but here we go. Give me Derrick Lewis plus 330.
What do you mean I shit on it? I picked him.
Yeah, but you said don't go betting it. So
no. I said don't go betting Hokit.
No, but you said you probably wouldn't bet Derrick Lewis either unless you're like a top echelon guy, which I'm not. But
no. Wait, did I? No, what did I say? I didn't say that. I said I wouldn't bet. No, I said I wouldn't bet against Derrick Lewis unless you were a top echelon guy.
Oh, okay.
Like, unless I had a sample size, huge. Like, I don't have a huge sample size of Hokit. I still really don't know what he is.
Well, bang, Derrick Lewis.
But I'll tell you one thing, bro. Make it a little more interesting and just take Derrick Lewis inside the distance, because he's not winning a decision, dude.
No. I take him by knockout for sure.
Yeah, that's the way you take him. But yeah, all right, that's your dog pick. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking end on a high note. All right, next fight. We got Mauricio Ruffy versus Michael Chandler. Ruffy's minus 700, plus 525 on the back end for Chandler. The over is plus 105. The under is minus 125. These odds are fucking crazy. I mean, come on. I know Michael Chandler has fucking lost like 5 of his last 6. And I know like he's just not what he was. But at the end of the day, come fucking on now. Minus fucking 700 for Mauricio Ruffy. I mean, I don't know, man. I'll just say this. Mauricio Ruffy's style is very intricate, right? It's very McGregor-esque. He's got that back and forth movement, in and out of the pocket, extremely sharp hands, but he does hold his hands low. And you don't want to hold your hands low against somebody like Michael Chandler who knows how to glide into space. Back in the day, Thiago Santos used to do that. Thiago Santos used to clear like almost a cage of space like this. Michael Chandler does that. Michael Chandler's got a very low center of gravity. So, yes, does he dip his head when he does it? Yeah, but he comes in and he just starts clearing space. And as he's clearing space, he's clearing out the hallway. He's just swinging and swinging. Now, if Ruffy's on his way in during a moment like that, if he's going like this, and then all of a sudden he's coming in like that, and he's got his hands down like he does, that's the way Michael Chandler would beat him by knockout. So when you got Ruffy going back to like this is the way he fights. Just picture Conor McGregor going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then you got Chandler sitting here trying to wait to clear space. And then all of a sudden he does, and he does it at the right time. And his hands are down, and Michael Chandler hits you with a shot, you're going down. And then from there, we know his wrestling pedigree. We know how good how good of a grappler he is. Ruffy's not going to out wrestle him. You know what I mean? You're not going to out wrestle Michael Chandler. But we can't trust that. Like, you can't trust that timing thing. That's a way that it would happen. Another way that would happen if Michael Chandler decides I'm going to commit to wrestling for 15 minutes. I'm going to commit to my fucking wrestling. I'm going to make this guy get up. I'm going to make this guy peel my arms. I'm going to make this guy find his space. But every time he finds space, I'm going to be back on his hips and I'm going to take him down. That's another way Michael Chandler can win this fight. So there are paths for him to win this fight. But at the end of the day, Michael Chandler always reverts back to Michael Chandler. He goes into the war. He goes into the fire. He wants to throw big shots. He wants to beat you at your own game. And I just think Ruffy's going to be a little too surgical for him. A little too surgical for him. And like, you could fight a guy like that who's going to be willing to engage. Justin Gaethje willing to go like this and car crash for you. But when you're fighting a guy who you're trying to car crash with, and he's kind of just all over the place, just picking you apart, I find it hard to believe that Chandler's going to have a lot of success. I'm going to go Mauricio Ruffy here. I'm going to say Ruffy by decision. I think he could finish Chandler if Chandler like just brings too much chaos to him. Like I said, like step back, counter or a knee. Chandler shooting, he catches him with one of those nasty knees up the middle. So definitely on the table. Knockout's definitely on the table. And it's always something to consider when you're seeing a minus 700. Vegas is trying to tell you something. But give me Ruffy here. I got to go to Ruffy. I'm going to say either, Ruffy somewhere past the halfway point or by, some 30-27 decision. All right, next fight we go. We got Bo Nickal and Kyle Daukaus. Minus 300 for Bo Nickal. No, that can't be right. Those odds are way off. It's minus 300 for Bo Nickal. Kyle Daukaus is plus 285. So when you look at this fight, you have... Look, Kyle Daukaus is a guy that I bet on his return, both fights. He's the better of the Daukaus brothers. Chris Daukaus is a good heavyweight, was a decent heavyweight. He was a guy that you looked at his physique and everything. You're like, but he was good. Good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He was okay. A little chinny and stuff like that, but he was serviceable. But I always say Kyle Daukaus was better. It was almost like the Miller brothers, right? Because I trained with Jimmy and Danny. And Danny was good. Like, I trained with Danny probably more than I trained with Jimmy because he was more in even though he was a middleweight, he was more my size on the offseason. And Danny was good, but Jimmy was different. And that's what I saw with Kyle Daukaus and Chris. I was like, yeah, Chris is good, but Kyle's different. Kyle's a little bit different. It's longer, rangy, better grappler, a little bit more slick, a little bit more well thought out. So when he came back, I was like, this is fucking money. I love this fucking that he's coming back. No one knows about Kyle Daukaus, because a lot of the guys with these YouTube pages now and their little content sites or Patreons, they weren't even fucking around when Kyle Daukaus was fighting. So well, they were probably around, but they didn't even pay no mind to him unless their name was Conor McGregor. So I thought there were two great spots against Pereira. Everyone was all over Michel Pereira, and we were all over Daukaus, and Daukaus ended up fucking breaking the slate that night. And then again, we had him. So, but this is a spot where this is just a horrible matchup for him. It's a horrible matchup for him. He's not athletic. He's very goofy footed. He's very just like awkward. He's almost got like a Sean Woodson style because he's so long. Like Sean Woodson's like freakishly long, and he's got that like weird fucking boxing style. Kyle Daukaus has that because he's so kind of just long and awkward looking, and his bread and butter is made on the ground. Like if you really want to get to the bones about it, yeah, striking's awkward and stuff like that, but his bread and butter is his grappling. He's a very slick grappler. What do you think he's going to do to Bo Nickal? Like if I get it. Like, well, but if he gets him on his back, okay. What if he gets him? What if he gets him on his back? But that's a big fucking what if. The kid's one of the most decorated fucking collegiate wrestlers. You think it's going to be? It's just, what if he gets him on his back? That's like me fucking saying to you, what if I got in the ring with Muhammad Ali and I was able to tag him? What if I went on a punching machine? I was able to outpunch Ernie Shavers. What if? You don't win with what ifs. So. What if he trips and falls on his back and Kyle Daukaus gets on top of him? Okay. But at the end of the day, when you look at Bo Nickal and you look at who he's fought outside of the cage when it comes to grappling, he's grappled with the Craig Joneses of the world. He's grappled with the Gordon Ryans of the world. He's grappled with the Nicky Rods of the world. Like, dude, he's grappled with the best of the best in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu arena. Now, his striking's not good. I don't think he is what everyone thinks he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be that good. But for this fight, this is a fight where his athletic ability, his wrestling chops, his ability to control top position, everything's going to be in his favor here outside of the range. And if he decides to stand for 15 minutes with Daukaus, then yeah, he's asking for trouble. But you can't fucking come to me and tell me what if. What if the fucking sky was red? I mean, what if? I don't care. I can say what if about anything. He's not going to be able to take down Bo Nickal and control him. That's not happening. And when you look at the submission situations, like the power chokes that Bo Nickal, would probably utilize in situations like that, anaconda chokes, rear naked chokes, power chokes. That's what Kyle Daukaus would need to fear. He doesn't need to feel arm bars or triangles. Like that's not Bo Nickal's game. Bo Nickal is going to be very much position before submission. He's going to use that weight distribution. He's going to take away his limbs. He's going to, slowly adverse into certain, positions that's going to keep him advancing, but very strategically. And he's going to be dropping elbows, and he's going to be, putting Kyle Daukaus in situations where he just can't unlock his hips and go. So I got Bo Nickal here. I got to be honest with you. I think these odds are a little bit loose. I think they're a little bit loose. I know minus 300 sounds very grandiose, and it's just like, wow, like that's a big price tag, but it's really not for this matchup. Like I'm pretty confident that he wins this fight. And like I said, I'm not a Bo Nickal guy, not a Bo Nickal guy. I don't think he's going to be that good. I think there's going to be certain matchups where he's going to look tremendous. And I think this could be one of those matchups. So give me Bo Nickal. I'm going to say Bo Nickal. I'm going to say Bo Nickal by decision. I think Daukaus is tough enough and sharp enough to kind of keep himself safe on the ground for the most part. But I just think he's going to have trouble getting out of bad position. So give me Bo Nickal by decision. All right, then the first fight of the night, which honestly, this was the one that smells fucking like violence all over it. You have Diego Lopes minus 150 and Steve Garcia plus 130. Now, Steve Garcia is on one of the more very interesting runs in the UFC. One of the most, I'd say, what's the word I'm looking for? Unpredictable runs, I should say, or just one you weren't expecting. He's good, but I wasn't expecting for this. Like I wasn't expecting for him to just start running roughshod on all these people and having a death touch, and and so many people fall in love with that whole death touch thing, right? Remember when Ozdemir came out, No Time Ozdemir, and he had a couple knockouts. Oh my God, he's got the death touch. Johnny Walker, oh my God, he's got the death touch. And everybody was like slating these guys to be the fucking next champion. The death touch. This is a little bit different. That was ridiculous talk. just like they talked about Jamal Hill, just like they talked about fucking Yuri Prochazka. There's just like there's so much ridiculous talk out there. But when there's not ridiculous talk, like I'm going to come out and say, I don't know, how ridiculous is it? How ridiculous is it that this kid has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 knockouts in 11 fights in the UFC? All in the first and second round. Like, at what point do you say that's not ridiculous? Like, that's not, like, maybe he does have the death touch. You know what I mean? All those other guys, I would laugh at them. I would bet against them just because I knew. I was like, dude, these guys are setting me up, these YouTube pages and these content providers. They're setting me up for the best price. They did it with Peter Yan against Sterling. They did it with Prochazka. They did. So with here, though, it's like, when do you say, yeah, like, I'll buy into it a little bit? And I'm buying into it a little bit with Steve Garcia. The problem is Steve Garcia has never faced anybody as outside of Calvin Kattar. I don't think he's faced anybody as much as of a dog, as a violent dog like Diego Lopes. Like, this guy is fucking violent. This dude, I mean, all the way back to his debuting fight against Evloev, when, you know, he was a 5,000 in DraftKings. Those of you that don't play DraftKings, like, dude, that's like the dog of the dog. If you're 6,900, 6,300, 6,400, you're like on the bottom of the barrel in DraftKings that week. If you're at fucking 5,000, bro, like, I don't think I've ever seen a 5,000. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when's the last time you seen a fucking 5,000? It's usually like 6,400, 6,600. He was a 5,000, and yeah, he lost the fight, but he gave Evloev all he could fucking handle. You know, and then he came back. He beat Tucker. He beat Sabatini. He beat Yusuf. He beat Ige. He beat Ortega. He lost to Volkanovski. He beat Silva. He lost. The only guy he's lost to is Volkanovski. Like, you don't think Steve Garcia would lose to fucking Volkanovski? The problem I have with Diego Lopes is that Lopez is his striking. Like, it's very just barbaric and it's so like just. It's almost like a cat fight. Like, there's real no like solid. Like, he'll do stupid things. Like, he'll see you and he'll try to hit you with his backhand. Like, if you're walking away, he'll like do something like that. He does, like, he'll do like a hammer fist, or like he does really, really odd things, but his grappling is insane. And because it's so pressure heavy, his violence is incredible. His durability is nuts. His heart is crazy. His conditioning is good. And then you got to wonder, like, we've never seen Garcia in an atmosphere like that. We've never seen him in a spot where, yeah, like, I can hit you. And you've been knocking these dudes out, but what happens when the wrench is turned on you now? Yeah, I mean, you're going to hit me, and you may hurt me, but I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to fucking hurt you too. And now we're going to see what's up. You know, and that's where I think a lot of people are misguided here. I think a lot of people are jumping on the Garcia train, and I understand it. Like I said, I wanted to validate for you, so you know, like, I understand why. But he's never seen a guy like Diego Lopes before. You could say Calvin Kattar is a much more strategic boxer, super durable, huge heart, great boxing, but he's not a grappler. He can't really change things up. He's much more of a straight up kind of counter striker, where Diego Lopes is kind of hunting you down like a violent animal. Garcia's never seen this before. You know, I like Diego Lopes here. I don't like him big. I don't like, I think the odds are about where they should be. I had him line more like a minus 180 in this spot. So I do see value on Diego Lopes here. But man, this is a really fucking intriguing fight for me, because this is more for me. Like, I know what Diego Lopes can do. I want to see what Steve Garcia is about. Like, if this fucking kid comes in here and does what he did to everybody else, to Diego Lopes in this fucking division, really needs to fucking watch out. Like, really needs to watch out. But I'm going to go Diego Lopes. I think he puts a halt to all this. I think Steve Garcia is good, but I do think he's been overperforming and fighting way over his head, where Diego Lopes has had great spots, and he's had some low light spots too. And even in his low light spots, he was competitive. So give me Diego Lopes here. I'm going to say Diego Lopes by decision. I think this one, you know what? No, I'm going to back that up. I'm going to say Diego Lopes by submission. I'm going to say that he gets his fight to the ground sometime in the second round and submits Garcia. So give me Diego Lopes by decision. And that's pretty much it, right, David? I think that's it.
That is the whole card.
All right. So, guys, that's the whole card. I want to thank everybody who tuned into the show. I want to once again thank Dayton Dane, you got anything to say?
Yeah, I do. First off, thank you, thank Dan, Tom, thank you, Pat, thank you everybody that tuned in, and just yeah, like you said earlier, great connections that were made throughout the show, and yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody for making this a good year. I think we were at this for almost a year since we started this back
Yeah.
around
Yep.
this time.
Yeah. So, like I said, you'll probably see Dayton. We're gonna probably have some guest spots with him over on my show. We were talking about it a little bit before. I'll bring Dan Tom on some shows if I haven't even talked to him about it yet. But if Dan Tom wants to come back and do some guest spots, he's always welcome. He's been a personal friend of mine. We're going to talk everything. We're going to talk boxing. We're going to talk MMA. We're going to talk, whatever we want to talk about. Music, if you want to talk about music, pretty much everything. So go follow Madlab Boxing. And then once again, guys, if you want to get on this promo this week, it's a great promo. We don't fuck around when it comes to these guys trying to sell you things and give things away and join this. And then you got to join baseball. It's one price, all in, everything we got to offer. So $25 your first month. Use promo code USA25. That gives you all month, not just UFC Freedom. It gives you all month, all the fights, boxing included, plus the World Cup, plus baseball, plus whatever's left of the NBA, plus hockey, whatever's left of that. And we got the fantasy league, and we got a full Discord. We got pretty much everything. You're not going to find more content anywhere for combat sports. I can promise you that. You may have your favorite people that you follow and stuff like that, but when it comes to robust content, you're not going to find more to get you prepared for a card. So I hope I do see you guys over there. If you do join up, like I said, pop into the Discord, tag me in the Discord. Let me know, where you came from, and the madlabmma.com. And once again, guys, I appreciate everybody that tuned in, and I will see you on the other side.